And I'm hoping you could speak about what the strategy is moving forward, because it is such a huge effort to bring a doc online for myopia management. You have so much resistance. You have the paradigm of the student coming out of school. They didn't go to school to be a salesperson. They went to school to be an eye doctor. That's what they want to do. In my dad's day, you became a private practice doc. In today's era, you're saddled with debt. Private practice is probably a very scary dream scenario at best, where you're like, maybe someday I can get to it if I even want to do that. Right now, I got debt to pay off. So I'm either going to become an associate in a commercial practice, a big box, or whatever the case may be. And then now I have to convince the doctors in the system that I work for that I want to do myopia management, if I'm even interested in doing that, because it seems like such a big thing. And optometrists, I love them to death. I come from a family of optometrists, but they're not the most assertive people. You know, they're not very interested in selling themselves instead of the product, right? Like, I am the best eye care provider for your child. So that's kind of, I feel like Treehouse Eyes seems like such a great prospect, but they have such a huge animal in front of them. It's not just them, it's the AAOMC as well. It's the Myopia Collective, it's GMAC, it's everybody. How is Treehouse Eyes going to address this problem in the future? Because they are providing such great resources. I've seen it in person, you know, when I was still with the AAOMC and I got to sit in on a Treehouse Eyes event. I was like, oh, they're doing a lot of stuff that we should be doing to support docs. So what is Treehouse Eyes strategy moving into the future? If you could speak to that. I know I just gave you a whole bunch.
Yeah, this is great, because I always begin with, you know, my whole point of view as a commercial leader within this industry is that a rising tide lifts all boats. In order to rise that tide, we got to lift the category, right? Because we know there are 25 million myopic kids in the United States, right? So if we have that number, it could be 24.6, it could be 29, doesn't matter. A lot, and only a fraction are being treated. Right? We all know that. Only a fraction are being treated. And you talked about a lot of the hurdles, right? It can seem overwhelming. It really can. And that's why what I like thinking about is, if I was just coming out of school and I'm an associate at a practice and I'm also working at Target as an associate on the weekends, trying to pay down that amazing and crippling debt, right? How would I be thinking about my future in optometry? Okay. So if I'm going to gain skills, if I don't want to just be in general optometry, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I want to be more on the front end of the bell curve around innovation, or just early majority, just, you know, what a lot of other people are doing, how would I go about that? And I would be seeking opportunities to learn. Like I said, there are two big areas that I see: myopia management and dry eye. But if I've decided that myopia management is what I'm curious about, and we all have our own myopia management stories, you've heard mine, right? Is, okay, well then who do I listen to, right? I would get on AAOMC webinars. Dr. D did that one on Stellus the other night, right? Learn about that. Got a lot of great information from there, but tons more questions. And I know that I can talk to those practitioners who are willing to help. I would go to my normal, if my owning doctor is a Vision Source member, I'd go to that monthly meeting to learn about myopia and just pick up the different pieces to form kind of a point of view if this is something that I want to spend more time on, because time is the most important, most critical resource that any of us have, particularly in the healing arts, which optometry is. So once I've decided that, where do I go, right? So there are tons of workshops and tons of research where you can make, as a scientist and a clinician, your own conclusions on what you would do and how you would approach the problem. And putting it all together can be daunting, to your point. So let's say that I am now a partner in the practice, or I'm going to do a cold start because I've talked to the guys at Acronis and taught me how to do that. Walk with me. Or I'm part of any other group. how am I going to do this? So obviously you rely upon those around you and other optometrists and your study groups and the people you graduated from school with. But then you can also look for people that can help you that aren't optometrists. And those people include, believe it or not, your local sales rep. They are often the biggest source of market information. And it doesn't matter. They could be the Topcon person. It could be the Bausch and Lomb person, and they can actually get your resources. Or you can say, I'm thinking about becoming an Ortho K practice. What do you do? Well, there's not very many here. Here's what they usually charge. And here's what I'm running across. And, it's the Johnson and Johnson guy, no doubt, right? They'll give you the information. And then you got that piece. You talk to other industry people, because in any advertisement anywhere, it's always, talk to us, right? And you can find people talking about this all over. I talk about myopia management all the time, right? I'm easy to find on LinkedIn for this. And then the third thing is you can go to an organization like Treehouse, and you can take a look at how they approach the market. It is very fortuitous that we're talking today, because yesterday, Treehouse has more offerings that they put into the world. It's not just the soup to nuts franchise program. They also have ways where you can get involved in myopia, where you can focus on what you might particularly need. So if you're trying to get a survey and understand the different ways of approaching myopia therapeutically, they have an offering called Treehouse Clinical, right? And what that has is their entire fitting protocol. I call it the wiring diagram in my head, because it's kind of the consumer products way of thinking about it. There's also an AI tool for it, and a number of other tools that help you as a clinician say, okay, patient presents like this. This is the other data I have. Odds are I can approach it this way. And if you don't have much experience with a myopia case, that's an easy way to get started. Another way to think about it is most of us have learned a lot about myopia, particularly in schools in the last 5 to 10 years, right? It's become more and more part of the curriculum. Then, all right, I already know that, but I have no idea how to set up my practice.
Right.
I have no idea. And for people who spend any time on workflow, it'd be like, oh, okay, well, we can show you how to set up your workflow, how to enable your practice to get the most out of myopia management that's already within your practice, right? Everybody has children in their practice. They may not see the children, but they see the parents, right?
Right.
And the parents are there because they are optometry aware, as I call it, because they have to go because they know they need eyewear, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you just ask 2 or 3 questions, and knowing to ask those 2 or 3 questions can uncover a gold mine of patients there. So now you have more of the family, right? Just as a commercial thinking about it. And you're not selling anything. You're just asking questions. And they say,
Right.
hey, you ever want to follow up with me? Please do, right? That's what we call in the business a very soft close or a trial close. And it doesn't put you out there. It really doesn't. But it will sit. It will sit in that parent's mind. And that product is actually called Treehouse Enable. And then there's the full kit and caboodle. I don't know what I'm doing. I want somebody to walk with me on it. I want to leverage your brand advertising, all your clinical insights, access to a bunch of different people for anything that I might have a question about, because somebody else has faced this problem and I don't want to walk alone. Well, then you just go to the traditional Treehouse franchise route. Right.
Right. If you're interested in getting the rest of the episode, consider becoming a paid supporter of the Myopia Mindset. In addition to an extended version of this episode and every other episode that we do, you'll also get access to exclusive monthly bonus episodes of the Myopia Mindset. And I know you're interested. You've made it this far. You can do so on our Substack, myopiamindset.substack.com. I'll see you at the next one.